My first encounter with Moko was out in the bay in the boat with my husband, and we just set the pots and a net, and there was a big swirl in the water, and my husband and I looked at each other and thought, whoops, what's out there? And the next minute this little head popped out of the water and it was a dolphin. So it swam around the boat for a little while, and I had my wetsuit on, so I jumped in, and the dolphin stayed around and came closer to me, and I just lay in the water and let the dolphin come to me and started to turn around in the water, and when I started to turn around in the water, the dolphin started turning around in the water. So I dived down under the water and the dolphin dived down under the water. So we just had a little game and got to know each other a little bit. I put my hands out to the side thinking he might let me touch him, but he just kept his distance. He'd come close enough that I feel like I could almost touch him, but he wouldn't let me. So my first encounter was just saying hello. And then as the weeks went by, he would come round into our little bay if there's nobody on the main beach, and if I saw him first thing in the morning, I'd go down into the water, and he would come in, and he got closer enough that I did get round to touching him in time. We'd just play together. I'd go out a bit deeper and float, and he would turn over on his back and float. And we did the little playing and diving and twirling around, and I would talk to him, and then I started to sing to him, and so we got into this little routine, and if I sang to him, he would sing back to me. He would squeak and blow bubbles, and just I would sing, he would squeak and bubble, I would sing and he would squeak and bubble, and yeah, we just had lots of fun out there. As I grew more confident with him and him with me, he would come in and he would get between my legs and pick me up with his nose and take me for a little ride. And as time went on, the rides would get a little bit longer and a little bit faster, and that was pretty magic, just to have the trust in him and to let him take me for a ride. Yeah, we just would spend quite a lot of time together. It was on his terms. Sometimes I'd call him and he wouldn't come in. Obviously he didn't want to play that day. Another days if I called him, he'd come straight in to me. And it didn't take long. Once the word got out that Moko was in our bay, more people would come and go and play with him. And if I stayed in the water, he tended to stay around me, and sometimes I think, oh well, I'll go for a little swim now and he can play with the people, but if I started swimming away, he started following me too. So and the people, you could see that they were getting disappointed that the dolphin was going away, so I would actually come back in and get out of the water and come away for a while so that other people could have the pleasure of playing with him too. One day I was out in my kayak and Moko appeared, and he swam with me with my kayak, and that was fine so long as I was heading along the beach. But the moment I turned my kayak around to come in to shore, he wouldn't let me. He came in and he pushed my kayak back round the other way and stopped me from coming back in again. It was fine for a little while, but I got a bit sick of that game, and I actually got quite tired trying to keep going to get my kayak to come in. So I had this big effort of paddling really hard to get in before he could turn around to push me out again, and I actually jumped out of my kayak, and it had a fairly long rope on it, so I just held on to the rope and swam a little bit, and Moko was still distracted by the kayak, so he kept trying to push the kayak out, but I was able to swim in far enough that I could touch the bottom and started to pull my kayak back into me, and Moko came zooming round past my kayak and got by me and was pushing me out, so come on, get back in your kayak, come on, come keep playing. And I'd had enough, and I thought he was being naughty, so I just gave him a big push and said, "Go away, Moko." Pushed him away, and he went off, and he went round my kayak, and he pushed my kayak into me, towards me, and then he came by me again and pushed me into shore as if to say, "Okay, if you're not going to play with me, go away then." And he went off back to play when the boys were out in the ocean. So yeah, that was one of the times when he was being a naughty boy. And he was here for about 2.5 years, and when he was first here, he was just a small dolphin and very playful and loved playing with the children. But as he got bigger, I think he was maturing and looking for a mate, and or just to be in a pod. He would actually herd the people. You'd see him down on the beach, and he'd get a whole group of people, and he'd try and herd them all together to keep them all together, like as if he wanted them to be his pod. And as time went on, he got quite strong and quite assertive with people if they were being a bit rough with him or tried to jump on him or pull his tail or do stuff. He would actually whack the water or try and whack them to show them that he didn't want them to do that. So for some people, they had not quite such good experiences because they probably felt a bit intimidated by him because he was becoming stronger and more assertive. And I think that in time he left because he wasn't a local variety of dolphin. He wanted to go off and find a mate and be with his own pod. So I think that's why he was heading up north when unfortunately he died. And of course we at Mahi were all very bereft to think that it was bad enough that he'd gone off to Gisborne, but when we heard that he'd died, it was very sad for everybody here because he had been such a wonderful experience for a lot of people that it's hard to explain because everybody has their own personal experiences of the dolphin. But for me, I think just to have developed that trust and companionship that we had, where we could just lie in the water together and share each other's company and sing to each other. So, yeah. And the song, which at the time we thought he was a female dolphin, so the song that I used to sing to him was just a little chorus of the song Beautiful Lady. Beautiful lady, are you lonely? How about spending the night with me? Beautiful lady, let me hold your hand and show you what a night of loving can be.